Let the record show it's 6 o'clock. We'll call our meeting to order. Sarah, will you do the roll call?
Tom Hardy.
Here.
Linda Barnhart.
Present.
Eric Goff. Kenny Morton. Timothy Lewis.
Present.
Daniel Gant. Michael Bush.
Here.
Donald Truitt. Troy Barrett.
Here.
We have the agenda before us this evening. That has been sent to you earlier in the week. I don't see any changes to it this time, so I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bush to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lewis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved. I'd like to introduce two new faces to the Planning Commission this evening. We have Mr. Barrett over here to my right. He's new with the Planning Commission, but has great interest in the county, and he has been chosen by the County Commission to serve on the Planning Commission. Welcome. Thank you. And then we have Mr. Hardy over here, a relatively new face. He is now, he sat on this commission for about 3 to 6 years, and now he's a county commissioner, and he represents the County Commission on the Planning Commission. Welcome, John. Okay. Do we have anyone that signed up to speak under the open governmental process? Okay. Let the record show that there's no one to speak there. Approval of the meeting minutes. Again, those were sent to you earlier in the week.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bush to approve the meeting minutes as submitted. Second by Mr. Lewis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any questions? Motion passes. Okay, we have 3 public hearings this evening. We'll begin with Potomac Overlook Estates.
The first public hearing tonight's a request for major plan change approval. The project is Potomac Overlook Estates, Lot 39 in Open Space A. The file is 2411-336. The developer's Potomac Rock Estates LLC and the engineers Fox and Associates. It's located in the Falling Waters District, Tax Map 8, Parcel 66, and is located at the end of Test Circle in the Potomac Overlook subdivision. The developer is proposing one single-family lot on 1.41 acres to be served by private well and existing community sewer system. In addition, a 0.99 acre parcel encompassing the existing boathouse is being proposed. No waivers or exceptions have been requested for this major plan change. On January 2nd, 2025, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The major plan change meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends advancement of the major plan change to the final plat stage.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Yes, good evening. Steve Sianovich with Fox and Associates, representing the applicant.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing for Potomac Overlook Estates. If you have questions or comments regarding this project, now is your opportunity to make those known. We ask that you come forward, state your name, your address, and any comments you might have regarding this project. Let the record show that there's no one to speak from the public.
Motion to close the public hearing. Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Bush, to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No questions. All right, public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich or of the staff?
Hearing none, Madam President, I make a motion to accept staff recommendation for advancement of the major plan change to a final plat.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bush to accept staff recommendation, and that is to move the project forward to the major plan change final plat stage.
Second.
Second by Mr. Lewis. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next public hearing is Stonecrest Lot C5.
This public hearing is a request for concept plan advancement. The project is Stonecrest Lot C5. The file number is 2412-370. The developer's Straight Arrow LLC and the engineers Fox and Associates. It's located in the Hedgesville District, Tax Map 28J, Parcel 345. The site's located along the east side of Kettering Drive, located within the Stonecrest PUD community, which is on the west side of Hedgesville Road. The developer is proposing a 4-unit apartment building on 0.51 acres to be served by public water and sewer. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On January 2nd, 2025, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The concept plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the concept plan to the detailed site plan stage.
Again, do we have anyone to represent?
Steve Sianovich with Fox and Associates, representing the project.
Okay, thank you. Again, this is a public hearing. Your questions or comments for this project are welcome at this time. Let the record show that there is no one to speak from the public.
Motion to close public hearing.
Motion by Mr. Lewis.
Second.
To close public hearing, second by Mr. Bush. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich or of the staff?
Hearing none, Madam President, I make a motion to advance concept plan to detailed site plan stage.
I have a motion by Mr. Bush to move the project forward to the detailed site plan stage. Second by Mr. Lewis. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next public hearing is Arcata Springs North.
This public hearing is a request for sketch plan advancement. The project is Arcadia Springs North, Section 2, File 2407-189. The developer's Monarch Development Group and the engineer is Integrity Federal Services. It's located in the Arden District, Tax Map 12, Parcels 11 and 29.3. This property is located on the north side of Van Cleevesville Road, approximately 1,900 feet east of the Van Cleevesville Road and Needy Road intersection. Section 2 is at the end of Maker's Way within the Arcadia Springs North subdivision. This section proposes 280 single-family detached lots on approximately 116 acres to be served by public water and sewer. At the December 16th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting, the developer was granted a waiver to Article 5, Section 504.E, Table 5.3 of the subdivision ordinance to reduce lot widths from single-family detached lots from 75 feet to 63 feet. On December 23rd, 2024, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The sketch plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
My name is Mark McDonald. I'm with Integrity Federal Services, representing the client.
Thank you. Again, this is a public hearing. If you have questions or comments for this project, please come forward, make those known at this time.
My name is Jeff Kelvin. I live in Arcadia Springs North. I think it's Section 1. I just saw the notice on Van Cleevesville about the meeting. It said sketch. I was curious, is there some time in this meeting when we can see the sketch of kind of what's going to be done in this project?
There is a plat, I believe, we have up here.
Yeah, you can have it.
That's kind of small if you want to look at a bigger version of it. Sarah, do you have a bigger version? No? Okay. Do you have any questions, Mr. Keller, regarding this? Do you have any questions?
I'll study it.
I'm sorry?
I'll study it and deal with it.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments regarding Arcata Springs North, Section 2?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, let the
Second.
record show that there's no additional comments. I have a motion by Mr. Lewis and a second by Mr. Bush to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. McDonald?
I do. Mr. McDonald, as you might imagine, the traffic question will always come up. In the notes here, it says the original traffic study will be updated. Is it anticipated that that would be done prior to the preliminary submission? Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions?
Yeah, I had, so this is one phase over how long, or is it different? Yeah. Which kind of leads me to the school question after that.
Yeah, my name is Lynch Christian. I'm with Monarch Development Group. What we're proposing here is a revision. This might also answer some of the homeowners who are here tonight's questions. The original sketch plan was approved for something like 660 lots. We went ahead and preliminary planned. There was a push at the time, and probably still is, to phase these developments so that we take into account kind of the changing situation regarding roads, schools, et cetera.
Right.
And so we proceeded with a Section 1 preliminary plan for about the first 330 lots. Now we're coming back for Section 2 with a second preliminary plan. We've reduced density. We've actually bought some adjacent acreage, and we're revising our DOH studies and basically resubmitting from scratch on the preliminary plan stage and from the sketch plan stage. We went through all the same waivers again, et cetera.
Okay.
The first 330 lots took us from 2020, and we just sold our last lot, so it took about 5. I would say that Section 2 will probably take a full. And construction probably won't start for another year when you think about the time that it will take us to get our MPDS permit.
Right.
We'd be lucky to be moving earth out there this year.
Any additional questions, Planning Commission members?
Hearing none, Madam President, I make a motion to advance sketch plan to preliminary plan.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Bush, second by Mr. Barrett, to advance the project forward to the preliminary plan stage. Any additional questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. That concludes our public hearings. Now we have preliminary plan approval, Loop Road Boyd's Crossing.
Yes, this request for preliminary plan approval is for Boyd's Crossing, Section 3, Phase 2, Connector Road. The file is 2212-380. The developer's J. Hess Group and the engineer's Greenway Engineering. It's located in the Mill Creek District, Tax Map 9, Parcel 47. The project's located adjacent to Runnymede Road. The developer proposes a connector road to provide secondary access to Section 3, Phase 1B. No lots are proposed with this plan. On January 22nd, 2025, County Engineer Doug Smith stated that a review of the above-mentioned project was completed and found to be in compliance with the Berkeley County subdivision ordinance. The preliminary plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends advancement of the preliminary plan to the final plat stage.
Planning Commission members, do you have questions regarding Boyd's Crossing?
This is for what again? You say it's not for?
It was a preliminary plan just to design the road. It crosses the creek.
They're limited by the house. They already had existing. I did deduct that number off of the 100.
Yeah, is this right up from
Yeah, it's right there at the water plant.
the water plant?
Yeah.
On the backside of the water
Yeah,
plant?
exactly. Anyways, that limited them on their first grant
Right.
because they didn't have permission. The only way to get this other entrance is it's connected.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask for a representative. Maybe the representative would want to answer some of those questions too. I'm sorry.
Doug's handling it pretty good.
Yeah, I know.
He probably knows more about this one than I do.
Right.
Dan Murphy from Greenway Engineering. I'm
Thank
the
you.
project manager for the
I
project.
didn't want to neglect speaking.
I appreciate that.
Okay. Now you can go ahead with your conversation. I'm sorry.
Yes, so the road is where? The proposed connector road.
The reason why this road got to be by itself was a bridge. This creek, they were trying to do with culverts, a lot of backwater with that. Because it's a second entrance, because it's almost looked at as a front. Force this to be the road for the bridge is, it's a prefabricated bridge. However, it will pass the 150.
Yeah.
Backward is caused on it. But this got to be this way. There is another reason why I'll let you explain. Because I think this is just an interim to get an approval. This could be pushed out to somebody else for a full development.
I was just in charge of the loop road. I
That
don't know what they're
was
doing.
my understanding.
That's what the conversations were, and
Okay.
like in relation to Runnymede, it's the entrance past row of townhouses that face.
Okay.
The original traffic studies that built out back. That traffic study has been set up right now, nothing's violating anything. They are allowed to build, I can't remember the exact number, like another 100 or 200 meters. And they have to stop and move the traffic study. Reason being was, there was an argument during the original transportation study. There was some disagreement between the previous county about what the distribution is. Some were saying that this distribution was going right more, and some were saying it was going left more. So to settle it, I think the compromise, and we've done this on several so far, is we'll let you build a little bit, and then we get to redo it and take a peek and see where everybody's going to go.
Right.
And it really depends. If you're not working every day or not going into the office, that could really skew what happens. But if you assume that everybody is going to the office, yeah, there's some major improvements. And what it's coming down to is whether the traffic's in. That's the bottom line.
Right.
Sorry for the long explanation.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
That's the history.
This is like a project that's been going on for 12 years.
This is just a new connector road. Right. Yeah.
And the build out, is it occurring off of the connector road?
Yes, some of
Yeah.
it will be off of the connector road, and what you see down here was auto development, and over towards the railroad tracks, and there, I think they were looking at trying to do more. The grading in here is difficult. There's like candies. I don't know how else to tell you.
Yeah.
The earthwork in here is going to be like a West Virginia strip mine. It's nasty. Well, the grades on this connector road, we got them where, I mean, they're within code, but they're not fun either. Yeah. There was a lot of earthwork involved in trying to make the connector road come up to site distance and style distances and the right grades.
Any further questions regarding the Boyd's Crossing project? If not, can I have a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion to advance preliminary plan to final plat stage.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bush.
Second.
Second by Mr. Barrett. Move the project forward to the preliminary plan stage. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next preliminary plan approval is for Heffley Motor Company.
Yes, this is a request for preliminary plan approval. The project is Heffley Motor Company, file 2405-145. The developer is Heffley Motor Company and the engineer is Integrity Federal Services. It's located in the Hedgesville District, tax map 34, parcel 5.17. This site's located at 1715 Hedgesville Road, approximately 2,000 feet north of the intersection of Hedgesville Road and Harlan Springs Road. The developer is proposing a commercial car sales establishment, including a 3,850 square foot retail building on 5.45 acres to be served by public water and private septic. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On January 28th, 2025, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The preliminary plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends approval of the preliminary plan.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Mark McDonald with Integrity Federal Services representing the client.
Thank you. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. McDonald or the staff?
No questions, I'll make a recommendation or motion that we accept approval of the preliminary plan.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Lewis to accept staff recommendation, and that is to grant preliminary plan approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bush. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, final plat determination. Willow Glen.
Yes, this request for final plat determination is for Willow Glen, Section 4, lots 96 through 131. The file is 2412-362. The developer is MDGWG Inc., and the engineer is Gordon US LLC. It's located in the Mill Creek District, tax map 6, parcel 73, and is located on Middleway Pike, 0.2 miles southeast of the intersection of Middleway Pike and Jaredstown Road. The project proposes 36 townhouse lots on 4.68 acres to be served by public water and sewer. On July 6, 2022, a waiver was approved to Article 8, Section 801, Table 8-1A88 of the Berkeley County Subdivision Ordinance to reduce the number of off-lot parking spaces from 1 to 0.6, allowing a total of 3.6 spaces per unit, with 3 being on-site, 1 in the garage and 2 in the driveway, and 0.6 spaces being provided in off-site parking areas. On January 23rd, 2025, County Engineer Doug Smith issued a letter of approval stating that a review of the above-mentioned project was completed and found to be in compliance with the Berkeley County Subdivision Ordinance. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat determination and advertising of a public hearing for consideration of a final plat approval at the March 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Mark McDonald with Integrity Federal Services representing the client.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission members, how about you? Do you have questions of Mr. McDonald regarding Willow Glen?
I do, yes. This is 51, like you're going to Charlestown and behind the DG there. Dollar General. Is there any future plans for a light there?
For what?
For a light? Yeah, stoplight. Really?
For a light. DOH. That was part out of DOH.
One entrance in, one out. One entrance in, one out.
There's 2 entrances
Two.
out. One beside the Dollar General and one just
Yeah, that's all I have.
If there are no further questions, I'm ready for a motion.
Madam President, I'll make a motion for final plat determination and advertising of a public hearing at the March 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Bush,
Second.
second by Mr. Lewis, to accept staff recommendation, and that is to conduct a public hearing on March 3, 2025, at which time the final plat will be considered for approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next final plat determination is Foxtail Mills.
Yes, this request for final plat determination is for Foxtail Mills Phase 2, lots 17 through 30. The file is 2501-015. The developer is Thomas Companies LLC and the engineer is Fox and Associates. It's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 17 and 17E, parcels 14.5, 14.6, 11, and 45. This site's located on the north side of Beddington Road, approximately 300 feet east of the intersection of Beddington Road and Miss Stacy Drive. The developer's proposing 14 townhome lots on 1.07 acres to be served by public water and sewer. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On January 27th, 2025, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends final plat determination and advertising of a public hearing for consideration of final plat approval at the March 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Mr. Stianovich, you're here?
I am representing the project.
Thank you. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Stianovich regarding Foxtail Mills Phase 2?
Madam Chairwoman, I do. Yeah, last week being my first meeting and trying to get up to speed with everything, has there been, to West Virginia DOH, what was their recommendations for upgrades to Beddington Road or intersection of Beddington Road and Route 11? No?
None whatsoever. And I think I explained this at the plenary. As we normally do, when we get into a new project, I'll contact Ken Cohen. We want to get any type of traffic study criteria. We want to get started on that immediately. So we get scoping letter approvals and all this other kind of stuff. It takes a lot of time. And Ken stood right next to me. He shot site distance and he double checked the site distance that our company came up. Says you don't need anything further. No traffic study, no road improvements, really no nothing.
Well, that's tending to be a theme. There's tending to be a theme with that. Okay, I mean, that's just my question. My question is that there's no needed, West Virginia DOH does not believe that there's any improvement needed at the intersection of Beddington Road and Route 11, nor do they believe there needs to be any upgrade to Beddington Road to where this development is going to have will turn into that development.
Let me answer your question. We have the West Virginia DOH entrance permit for this project onto Beddington Road. There wasn't any improvement requirements associated with them issuing that permit, 99 townhomes. Had there been trip generation from this community that impacted the intersections of the roadway that you spoke of, they aren't very timid about asking for contributions. None of that was ever asked.
Doug has an answer for me too.
Technically, the way the rules are for the technical direction for DOH, GIS studies, what trips were. First criteria, 100 trips to 50. Trip that pretty much pushes you traffic. Next is, at the next signal, if there is a phase in there that's operating, will service do your work. I don't know what the signal operates at Beddington 11. I don't think there's, from the last traffic study, the last traffic count that I saw for that intersection analyzed, I don't believe there was a leg in that phasing. It was at LOSD for works. However, there is another project that just came in here, apartments, at the corner of Ninetown and 11. They'll have these two new developments down on Bennington. And the question becomes if, what's the one down? Right, that one technically, I would say that 90% of that traffic is work traffic, okay? They were traveling down the road or across the river. They're gonna come up through Bennington, to use 11 to jump on it. It's their easiest way to do it, to get across the river. So when you start adding all that up, there's, at some point, they're gonna have to, DOH has to look at it. DOH did not require anything, which I was kind of shocked by. Even with the apartments and what they were generating, they are right at the intersection. Right. There's no queuing. They did ask for the extra lane in there, which it does need. But you're starting to get queuing now exceeding what's at the intersection on 11. Either to turn, go left into Bennington, coming from the north, or to turn into Ninetown. Starting to see queuing during times, up a little bit to where that queuing rate, that staging rate is full.
Yeah, my constituents have reached out to me in regards to the left lane onto Nighttown, and or be a left turn on Nighttown and a left onto Bennington. And we also have picked up traffic in there for the CMC project, which is eventually going to go away.
Right. We've had calls about that, and I've tried to explain to them that traffic's going away, so
Right.
please be patient. However, you are right. I asked Ken, have they went back and looked at the intersection, because there's no protected phase for the left turn into Ninetown if you're going north with 11, and that's where the queuing is bad at night. And it's not every night, it's usually your Fridays, your late Saturday afternoons, that sort of thing. But that phase isn't protected. There's a left turn, but you have to yield to oncoming. I asked him for a 30-second phase in there. I would probably clear a little bit of it, 30 seconds, clear that queuing rate. And it would like you sometimes have to set through a phasing.
Yeah, we did have that at our last planning commission meeting when there was a public hearing on the 64 apartments right on the corner of
And they
Nighttown
just
Road.
asked for a dedicated left turn lane from Nighttown out. And they'll have to widen it for the right turn in, obviously. There's only 2 lanes there. There is 3 lanes, but they're using the shoulder to make it.
To make the right.
Yeah, I mean, I go through there all the time.
Sure,
so.
sure. I do agree with you that making the left on the Nighttown could be the most dangerous, because you have that high-speed oncoming traffic.
There's no protected phase.
Yeah.
They would just have a little bit of a phase. We asked DOH about it. I think the other day. Like I said, none of these have tripped anything yet. Eventually, these things are all gonna come to fruition, and what's gonna end up happening is some poor soul is gonna bring the next development in, and they're gonna get saddled with that. You're almost to the point where you need 3 lanes at Bennington.
Well, there's a bit of an awkwardness also, as cars will cut through the parking lot for the Crossroads store to Beddington Road, and they'll come out to the intersection and either go right or left. So it's a little, that's an odd way of getting onto Nighttown Road or getting onto Route 11 is coming down through that little driveway.
Well, one of the good things is if the apartments come in, that will take some of that bank off, which will help that sight distance of trying to see down 11 to decide if you can make that turn, the right turn on red. You really have to kind of push yourself out right now because of the bank.
Yep.
The embankment, I'm sorry.
Are there any further questions regarding Foxtail Mills Section 2? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Madam President, I make a motion for final plat determination and advertising of a public hearing for final plat approval at the March 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
I have a motion by Mr. Bush,
Second.
second by Mr. Lewis to accept staff recommendation, and that is to conduct a public hearing on March 2nd, 3rd, at which time the final plat will be considered approved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have, don't go away, we now have Foxtail Phase 3, Foxtail Mills Phase 3.
Yes, this is a request for final plat determination for Foxtail Mills Phase 3, lots 46 through 52 and 81 through 91. The file's 2501-016, and the developer's Thomas Companies LLC. The engineer's Fox and Associates, and it's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 17 and 17E, parcels 14.5, 14.6, 11, and 45. The site's located on the north side of Bedington Road, approximately 300 feet east of its intersection with Miss Stacy Drive. The developer's proposing 18 townhome lots on 2.46 acres to be served by public water and sewer. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On January 27th, 2025, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat determination and advertising of a public hearing for consideration of final plat approval at the March 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Mr. Stoyanovich, you're here for that too? Okay. Let the record show that Mr. Stoyanovich is at attention, ready to answer questions. Planning Commission members, do you have questions?
Hearing none, Madam President, I make a motion for final plat determination and advertising of a public hearing for consideration of final plat approval at the March 3rd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mr. Bush,
Second.
second from Mr. Barrett. To hold a public hearing on March 3, 2025, at which time the final plat will be considered for approval. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, that basically considers the evening business done. Laura, we have before us, and I want to congratulate you on getting the activity report to us so quickly. I'm sure you will have questions as you thumb through this. I'd like to have a vote on this at our next meeting.
Yeah, that's what I was going to recommend. Just take a look at it, and then the next meeting, if you have any questions, you can certainly email them to me too beforehand. I'm sure there's a accounting error somewhere in some of the numbers, so if you guys catch it, just let me know. But I used Excel, so it should be fine.
Anybody have any questions before we set this up for our next meeting to put her on agenda?
No, just a quick comment. Thank you for your work, Laura. It's something that came out of the updating the numbers for the Planning Commission. Again, we're looking to 2040 and Berkeley County being a county of 180,000 residents. And so it becomes real clear, when you look at these numbers, where these folks are going to live, where, of applications, it looks like there's 1,000 units in sketch in 24, 1,000 units in preliminary plan, 1,000 units in final plat in 24. And then when we look at approvals, there's 1,100 units that came through approval in 2024. So, as that happens year over year, there's dramatic impact, which further underscores the need to tighten up the comprehensive plan. And look forward to that process. That would just, one thing that was interesting to note for me, anecdotally, it looks like the split between singles and townhouses is about 50-50. I would have thought there were more townhouses that were being built or planned to be built, but that was just, I don't know what that means. It's just, I found that interesting.
Market shift is really all it is.
Yeah, I would have thought there'd be more townhouses than singles.
Seems like we have
I actually thought
townhouses
that
every
too.
time.
Yeah.
More townhouses.
Well, I mean,
Actually,
Be a
it's,
lot less townhouse.
Yeah.
a lot of the singles are gonna be slab on grade though, no basement, which accounts for, being able to construct it.
But
Better,
it depends how much quickly the interest rates come back. I mean, right now, there's a glut. The median prices, just a single family detached, the median prices outside of a lot of first time home buyers reach, unfortunately. Prices after. And right now, there's not enough supply. That is another factor in the price.
Again. Okay, well, take a look at this thoroughly. Mr. Hardy, Mr. Barrett, take a look at it. It'll be your first time seeing the activity report. You'll see it every year.
Okay.
So if you have questions, be prepared to give them at our next meeting. And if you have them in the meantime, you want to throw them out to Laura. She's always here and eager to answer any questions you might have. If there's any update on the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, I
We'll
was-
talk about that.
Yeah, so we did the kickoff with the Berkeley group. Brian and I drove them around and showed them as much as we could possibly show them in 3.5 hours. So we hit like all the major areas. Then they came back and did department head interviews. Currently working with Aaliyah to get the county commissioner's schedule figured out for the beginning of April so we can sit down one day after the commission meetings and do 2-on-2 interviews. And then I believe they want to interview the planning commissioners as well. So as soon as I figure out what day that is, I'll certainly let you guys know. But
Any questions?
beginning of April is kind of what we're eyeing.
Any questions from anybody? Okay, if there's nothing else to discuss, I'm adjourned, guys, gone. So I need a motion to adjourn. Huh?
I move that we adjourn.
You move to adjourn?
I do.
Mr. Hardy moved to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bush. All those in favor? Opposed?